again, welcome back to the final video of the week. This is a little extra one. This is one I've been doing for ages, and then it's trying to watch all the films for it became a problem. Even though there's only 4 films. And the prime culprit of why it took so long was this film behind me, Dick Tracy. Because I knew I wasn't going to like it. I hadn't seen it for years, but I knew I wasn't going to enjoy it. But the idea is I'm going to do these films released in the 90s that were adaptations of old comic books, or they were taking the style of old comic books and making films out of them. And none of them were very successful. They all came from about 90 to about 96. And then at that point everyone realised these don't work. Because it was just after Batman had been a big hit, so they went back to the comic books of yesteryear, and because Batman came from that era, and Superman did as well. But Batman and Superman were the exceptions of that era. And Marvel hadn't quite got itself together. It started after these films had fallen away, that's when Marvel started to get itself act together. So we'll start with Dick Tracy, then we have Rocketeer, then we have The Shadow, then we have The Phantom. 4 films from that era. So, Dick Tracy. What the fuck? Right, Dick Tracy is the worst of the 4. Dick Tracy I had seen, but it was always one of those films I knew I was not that keen on, but I liked visually, but the story was terrible. And everything I didn't like about it, I remain not liking about it. And everything I didn't like about it, I remain liking about it. Basically, Glenn Headley and the kid Charlie Cosmo are really good. They know what they're doing. They know what parts they're playing. They play it brilliantly. They keep the film going. Warren Beatty and Madonna, on the other hand, are terrible in this film. Warren Beatty was the director, and he miscast himself horribly. And so he spent all this money on the film, even though he should have cast someone different. And he should have got a better script. Because the script is basically the fall and rise of Dick Tracy, where basically he's a cop. He gets framed. He's doing too well against the criminals, led by Big Boy Caprice, played by Al Pacino. He gets framed, sent to prison, escapes with help of his friends, and they bring down the criminal empire. Madonna is a femme fatale who's trying to seduce him, but who may be up to her own, no good on her own. Basic problem is the story is so basic and they do nothing with it. The idea of doing something with it is to have a lot of visuals that are interesting, a lot of makeups that make everyone grotesque and comic booky, which is fun actually. They have very primary colours, people are either, Dick Tracy's all kind of yellow, bright yellow. There's lots of red, lots of blues. Everything's very primary or secondary, but very basic colours, like greens and blues and things. And that's it, that's all the colours you can get. So people wearing red or costumes or blue costumes, whatever, they all look great because they've all been designed really well. Everything looks beautiful, the sets look beautiful. There's no advertising, everyone's either coffee shop, police station, very comic booky. Everything's been worked out so well for that. But they don't have a plot to go along with it that's interesting. They just have a very basic cop plot that is a kind of the plot that every kind of noir or neo-noir would actually start with and then start twisting around if they're any good. Now this one they just have that plot and then just add grotesquerie to it. And they miscast. They miscast badly. I mean, Al Pacino's great as Big Boy Caprice. He's having a lot of fun. He's way over the top. He's been better in a lot of other films, but when you're stuck with Warren Beatty as a lead, every time he comes on, it's like, oh, thank God. Oh, thank God. And I like Warren Beatty in a lot of films, just not in this one, because he's so miscast. He's so terrible as Dick Tracy. It was someone pointed out at the time, it was like, how can one of the biggest playboys play all-American repressed character like this? And it doesn't work at all. I mean, Beatty has played repressed characters like Bonnie and Clyde properly before, but whatever I did then, you need another director to get out of him now, because he was just flat and he's boring. And whenever you see him with anybody, it's always the other person doing the hard work. He just seems dull. He's the dullest hero you could ever possibly get. You think as a director you'd be like, can I get something out of him? As a director he should be seeing himself going, this is not good. It's just terrible. I mean, the plenty of actors out in Hollywood at the time, they could have done Dick Tracy with energy, like Tom Cruise or somebody who was around at the time. You know, there was Rob Lowe. I mean, they didn't have to be great actors, because it's not a part you need a great actor for. You just need someone with boyish enthusiasm. But you don't get that. You just get this dull middle-aged man playing Dick Tracy, and he's not that interesting. It's what you need, the energy to get this thing working, and you don't have that. And also Madonna, who's far worse. She's there because she's a singer, but she's playing a femme fatale. She can't act. She can't read her lines properly. And she doesn't look like she's of any era that actually watched the film. She just looks like she's like an alien in this world. It does not work, like, at all. She's terrible. It's like, it's the thing that every time she appears, she crashes the film. She doesn't know how to play a femme fatale. I mean, this is the area Kathleen Turner around. It's like, why don't you just cast her? She was making films like that all the time. And you didn't cast Kathleen Turner even though she was so obviously what you needed for this part. You know, there are plenty of other actors who could have done that as well. There's so many actors who could have played that better than Madonna. Who could act. So, yeah, I mean, the reason I'm bugged is because they get most of the screen time and they're so terrible. And every time there's someone good turn up, they're there for 5 minutes, they're gone, and it's like, oh, God. Just let the villains. And even worse, when Glenn Headley turns up, she's the girlfriend of Warren Beatty's character, and she's really good. Getting from the worst, most basic stuff to do, and she's delivering perfectly, doing a really good job. Charlie Cox was a kid's really good. And they're doing the great work, and they're getting stuck with this terrible lead performance by Warren Beatty, and Madonna's sinking all the plot every opportunity. And every time thing is, and then you see the sets, they look gorgeous, and everyone looks gorgeous, and it's so well done. But the script and these two lead actors are so terrible. And it's something that continues throughout these films, but never to this level. There's one other example in one of the films I'll cover that's just as bad, but the rest of the actors can cover it. It's not like two lead performances. Now we have The Rocketeer. The Rocketeer is so much better, just so good. The best film in this list by a long mile. Just go watch the film. It's so good. It's a retro film based in Dave Stevens' comic, written in the 80s, based in the 40s. This film made no money. Dick Tracy made money. This film didn't. Dick Tracy is hated now, and this is a beloved film. And it's just a case of marketing. Like, this film wasn't marketed properly, and Dick Tracy was marketed even though it was terrible. This is a beautiful film. It's Joe Jones directed just after Hunter with the Kids. It's set in the 1940s, but it's not overshot or anything. You have a lot of character actors playing like gangsters or FBI men. You've got Howard Hughes showing up. You've got Alan Arkin as the sidekick. Bill Campbell plays the Rocketeer, and he's perfect in this film. He's gung-ho, but a bit dim at times. You know, at the start he's not up to challenge that's facing him, the character, because he's been having problems. His girlfriend Jennifer Connelly in one of her earlier parts, he's messing up with her. He's messing up his partnership with Alan Arkin, trying to create this plane that will be in the finals and will be a big success. It crashes because someone shoots it. Everything's going wrong for him, and he's not handling it well. He's doing everything wrong. He's a guy who doesn't understand women very well, but he's trying his best. And that's what's good about the character is he's trying his best. He just knows he's not great at everything. He's trying though. And it's a charming performance, and it really grounds the film because you like the character. This also is a really good villain. Timothy Dalton plays a very kind of Errol Flynn influenced villain who's a secret Nazi, and he's trying to get his hands on the rocket. He's paying off all these comic book villains to try and get the rocket back from the Rocketeer. And he's great. He's charming, smarmy. He's got all these lines that he takes from his movies to charm women. And he's a lot of fun. You've got Paul Saville showing up as a gangster who's been paid by Dalton for a while until he finds out he's a Nazi. Then he's like, I don't work for Nazis. You've a giant zeppelin showing up towards the end. You've got just lots of really cool flying sequences that have aged a bit badly because of the effects they use, but still work well because they're charming. I mean, it's one of those films with effect failures, like we have hours of movies. The flaws in the effects, and we see them nowadays, doesn't matter because you like the characters. You like all the characters. You even like the villain because he's fun. I mean, of course, Jennifer Connelly gets kidnapped by Dalton, but she's a 40s dame, so she can punch people and be sneaky herself, even though she doesn't look it. So this is one of her very early performances. As she's still doing the ingenue thing, but she's getting to work with good actors in this one. So it's before she became a really good actress, but she's learning. You can tell she's learning. But all the actors are having fun. Everyone's fun to watch. You know, it's just a really enjoyable film. Everything just works. It's just one of those films that just works. Everything about it. The action scenes are not too many. There's not tons of them, but they all work in specifically where they're there for. The FBI shows up and they've got characters like Ed Lauter in it, and they've been pained, but they've got a point of view that actually is logical. So the characters being irritating because they'd be irritating at the time and nothing more, just because the characters are playing are irritating. But everything just really works. There's nice tension between different characters. The plot keeps moving nicely. It's just a wonderful film. It's like the perfect example of what to do with a throwback action movie. This is one of the great films that actually followed upon Raiders, really. You know, because Raiders Lost Ark was the big one, throwback film. Another one's try to rip it off, and they had the sequels, but this is one of the really good ones that followed upon it. And you can catch it in Disney Plus. If you're Disney Plus, go watch it Disney Plus. It's there. It's really good. So just go see it. Now we have The Shadow, which is probably gets a silver in this category. It's not as good as Rocketeer, obviously, but it is enjoyable. It's kind of flat in some ways. It doesn't get going for a while. It does have some dodgy effects and dodgy makeup, but everyone's in the joke. That's the big thing in this film. They're all in the joke. Everyone knows what film they're making. Alec Baldwin's the lead. He plays Lamont Cranston, who's the Shadow, who was played by Orson Welles in the radio. The radio was the big success of the Shadow character. They brought him back because they thought, because he's a big character, thought he was maybe another Batman. It wasn't. Not enough people knew the character. But it's one of those films that was... It wasn't a good investment to make this film, but I'm glad they made it because it's enjoyable. David Koepp, who wrote Spider-Man later with Sam Raimi, wrote this one. He also did Jurassic Park and The Cleo's Way. He was on a roll here. He writes a decent enough script, but you've got a lot of good actors chewing the scenery. Alec Baldwin knows he's chewing the scenery. He's playing a double identity. Lamont Cranston, who's the playboy, he's having fun with that. The Shadow is the big creepy character who can strike fear into men's minds and read men's minds, and he's having a blast. He's got a distinctive voice. He's enjoying himself. Bizarrely, his makeup to make him look different from Alec Baldwin makes him look like his brother Baldwin at the time. I don't know why. No one noticed that. But he's having a lot of fun. He's always an actor in the right project I always quite enjoy, because he's, if you get him in the right project, he's really fun as an actor. If you get him in the wrong project, he can be dull, but this is one of the rare projects where he's having fun with it. And he's playing an old-fashioned kind of character. It's not the best character he's ever played, but it's still an enjoyable kids movie. Penelope Ann Merrill plays the female lead. She's fine. She was in Cleo's Way just before or after this one. She's not as good as Baldwin is in this film. Just the same in Cleo's Way, she was the kind of weaker element compared to the Pacino. But she's still fine. I mean, she didn't do anything wrong. She's fine. She's enjoyable. It's just that it's one of those parts. It could have been a bit better cast, especially when you see other actors. John Lone plays the villain. He's the descendant of Genghis Khan. Ian McKellen shows up as a dirty old man scientist. Tim Curry is way over the top as Tim Curry only can, as the sellout scientist partner of Ian McKellen, who's just selling down the river to make money. He's a blast. Anytime he's on screen, it's enjoyable. You have a lot of character actors floating around. You have lots of shots of the going through the city that's really fun because the Shadow has all these pipes because the 30s and 40s that float all these messages through the pipes, and the shots go all crazy doing that. You know, it's just wonderful. I think that's the film that they'll try to do Batman Forever, really. We're trying to do an more old-fashioned, kind of stylized comic book colourful hero. This is more fun for me. It's just enjoyable. It's just the script's not amazing, the plot's not amazing. It kind of starts and stops the plot, but there's a lot of nice pulpy moments that happen. It's just one of those things, if they'd just spent a bit more time in the plot would have worked a lot better, and maybe just... I think it's also a film that could have done with less money spent on it. Like, it could have, a tighter budget might have really helped it, because I think sometimes we're getting a lot of money to do stuff, and what they did with it was probably didn't help the film, but it's still really enjoyable. You know, it's one of those ones that's just like, it's a bit over budget for what it needed to be. It needed to be a bit tighter, but it's good fun. It's a film that I watch every 3 or 4 years and have a blast with. You know, it's not demanding in any way, it's just enjoyable pulp nonsense. Finally, we've got The Phantom. Phantom is the Billy Zane film from about 96, I think it was. This was the film that killed this kind of retro style. I mean, only Dick Tracy had really succeeded, and the Batman films kept on coming out and doing well, so they kept on making these other retro things, hoping one would hit, and it was like, at some point it was like, they're not going to work, no one wants these films. So they stopped, after this one they stopped, this was a disaster, they stopped. And it's an enjoyable pulp nonsense. I mean, it's not a very good film, but it's a film I enjoy. It is a very kind of clumsy, clunky movie. You know, Billy Zane is actually fun as a Phantom. He understands the tone of it. There's a lot of things that throw back to 30s pulp, like he's a dog that always follows him everywhere, even if he's flying at some point. A horse does the same thing. All these animals always help him out. You know, he's got all these spies all over the place working for him. He's versing pirates who are now the more up-to-date version of pirates in the modern world. He has to go to New York to stop them. You know, it's enjoyable. Treat Williams is a villain. He's having fun. You know, Captain Zone turns up as a slutty side villain who changes sides at some point. It's enjoyable trash, fun, just pop a throwback. The worst part of those Kirsten Swanson as a female lead, she's terrible. She's like Madonna and Dick Tracy. It's like every time she's on, it just sinks the film. The film keeps on stopping fun when she's on. She does not understand the level of performance she needs. She's been miscast and no one's had the guts to say, oh, don't change this. No one's done that, and it's like, wow. It's just one of those films that's like, wow, why did no one fire her and put someone else good in? Because she just sinks the film. She doesn't understand at all what she's doing in this film. And it really destroys it. But also the script's not that good. And the direction's mediocre. But I mean, the best thing in it was James Remar as the sidekick of the villain. And James Remar's always fun. Playing a scuzzy villain who's just out to kill the Phantom. You know, he's just a joy to watch because he's always a fun villain. You know, and him and Zane play off each other really well. I mean, everyone's having fun. I mean, it's an enjoyable film apart from that one thing. But it is like one of those 3-star films. It's like, there's nothing unique about this film. It's only for a film for people who like this kind of film. Anyone who doesn't like this kind of film is not going to enjoy it because it's not good enough to transcend the cliches it's playing with. It's that kind of thing, but it still is enjoyable. I mean, if you like this kind of thing, I'd still say go watch it, but if you don't bother. But you won't get to see Billy Zane playing the Phantom with a purple unitard on. That's a sight to behold. It's something you wouldn't see every day. And it is one of his best performances, actually, playing this character. He looks almost human in this one compared to some of his other performances, but it's enjoyable. It's silly, you know. So, out of these films, watch The Rocketeer. The Shadows are good fun too, if you're in the right mood. Phantom's a bit dodgier, but if you're going through the other two at that point and still having a good time, Phantom might be worth it. Dick Tracy, I'd give a miss, because it is the worst of the bunch. It's the most prestigious of the bunch, and it's also by far the worst. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little extra video. It would have been here a lot quicker if I hadn't really bottled it trying to avoid watching Dick Tracy. Because I watched the other ones months ago. I was like, I've watched Dick Tracy. Oh, God. It's that kind of thing. And I was right to bottle it, by the way. Right, so I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll be back next week with some more. Right, bye for now.